Welcome to episode 11 of Local Report. This is a podcast where the locals in our community of Calhoun County, Texas, and the surrounding areas share their stories, roles, and experiences. And before going any further, I just have to make a comment on the recent events here in Texas this past week. For those that have been tuning in on the news, or for those of you who live in Texas, you know what I'm talking about. It has been exceptionally cold to the point that we had lost power, water, essential resources, gas, and we even struggled to find milk from the day-to-day needs that we had. It was just a wrestle with the worst and best in people, because what we were seeing was people in fear. We were seeing people who rose to the occasion and met needs and did awesome things in our community. And it's a thing that you kind of have to process after the events are done. And a lot of us don't really feel like the events are really done, because we still have busted pipes, or there's still damages that we've occurred, or really high energy bills that are right around the corner. We're still feeling the effects of the recent events of the cold weather. And I just want to take this plug really to just share that if there's anybody who still has any needs from this past week, to reach out to me personally. You can reach out to this Facebook page that we have for Local Report. You can reach out to my email, which is localreport@gmail.com. Whatever we can do to help you get back on your feet, we want to at least give an earnest try. And my hope is that you're getting back to your routine. I hope that your home is nice and warm, and you have power and you have water. But we're going to make it through. We're definitely strong. I think we definitely found a way to pull together through this, and no doubt that that's something that we'll continue to do. So with that in mind, we're going to hear a little bit more from the perspective of our guest, as they also experienced a heck of a week, and we'll also get to hear about themselves and what their roles in the community. So at this point, let's hear our guest. Enjoy. Hey listeners, thanks for joining us this week. I have Haynes Searcy with us, and what he's going to do is just give us a little bit of an insight on, his role in the community. And then we're just going to reflect about this crazy past week that we all recently experienced here in Calhoun, Texas. And so it's a pleasure to have Haynes on the show. And just from the beginning, I would like to hear from you, like a brief introduction as to, kind of a good summary of who you are, where people may notice your face from, and what you do around here.
Oh man. Well, thanks for having me. This is cool. And I want to thank you for doing this. Not many people know their community, and this gets our community out. But I don't know, maybe people seen my face at the most wanted signs or something. I don't know, at the post office, but no, I'm just playing.
You're on the post office.
Yeah,
that's where they find you.
Yeah. So anyway, no, I'm the youth pastor at Alamo Heights Baptist Church, and I grew up here in Port Lavaca, and from 6th grade to 12th grade, and so I graduated in '98 and left Port Lavaca, and then moved on to Cuero. I got married. That's where my wife's from, so we settled down in Cuero, and in 2010 went to seminary and finished up school, and moved back to Cuero for a few more years. And then in 2018, God called me back here to Port Lavaca, and it's almost to the exact month, I don't know what day, but almost exactly 20 years later, called me back here to Port Lavaca. And so 2018, I accepted the position at Alamo Heights Baptist Church to work with the youth there. And of course, youth pastors they wear all kind of hats. So,
you got a lot of different, like you said, hats and roles.
Yeah.
Just to name a few, man. I mean, for those on the outside looking in, what are some of those roles?
Well, at our church, first of all, we have an awesome church. I love our church. I love our church family. They have a big heart, and I love to see them work together as one body, whether it's Operation Christmas Child or Vacation Bible School, things like that. And anytime someone has a need, I see our people come together. And so one of the roles, of course, is working with youth, and but it's more than that. It's working with their families,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also going into the schools and finding ways to help our schools and just being there, not just for the kids but for their parents and for for the school. Before COVID hit, we were getting that going. We were starting to see
Right.
some movement.
Yeah.
But of course, now that COVID is here, kind of stopped all that. But within our church, another passion of mine is men's ministry,
Mm-hmm.
and I love being a part of just the ministry, just men's ministry. Just a group of men willing just to meet, whether it's outside, around a barbecue pit, a campfire,
Yeah.
wherever. Praying with each other, praying for each other. I think that's important for
Right.
men, to have other men to keep them accountable and to lean on. So those are some things within our church. So
Yeah.
and there's other dynamics in our youth ministry too, other than just working with kids that we just started. So
Right. And if any of our listeners are listening, right, and you recognize the voice from somewhere, where would people recognize your voice from?
man, you find on Friday night, you catch me on Sandcrab Radio.
Sandcrab
Yeah,
Radio.
David Barecki calls play by play, and I get a little excited on the radio and watching football. I remember those days playing football, and it just brings back so many memories. Our team wasn't near as good as what Calhoun's at today and where they've been here recently, but it's fun doing Sandcrab Radio because I think it keeps me out of trouble because I'm
Okay.
not in the stands, because I can get pretty rowdy in the stands.
Yeah.
And I've had someone say, should a preacher
Getting so loud.
get so loud up in the stands? And I don't yell at refs
Mm-hmm.
that much, maybe, but I don't yell at coaches. I'm there for the kids. And if
Yeah.
anything, I want the kids to hear, us at the football games. But so my wife says that me being in the radio booth keeps me out of trouble.
It's a good outlet for you. You got to channel it somehow.
Yeah.
And no doubt, you definitely have a love for people. You have a love for students. You're definitely their biggest fan, and I mean, some of that kind of bleeds out into other things. You're cheering them on during sports, during their activities, however you can be a support.
Yeah.
You're definitely all in when it comes to those things.
I want to see our kids win.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
mean, if it's on a football field, whether it be, in the weight room. My daughter's a power lifter, and I'm so proud of her. But when I'm around the other kids, I want to see them succeed. I want to see kids win, and then maybe it's not on the sports field. Maybe it's not in the weight room. Maybe it's in the classroom. But I want to see the kids win in just life too.
Right.
I mean, and growing up, I grew up and it was tough. My home wasn't perfect. No home is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to provide a place for kids to come, a safe place for teens to come, let loose, relax, be themselves, and not have to worry about being judged about what they've done or what they're doing even, what kind of sin they're wrapped up in. And hopefully we can provide a safe place for them to receive some help, but most of all, to find Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So you have a dual role where
Yes.
your priority is leading students to know Jesus and to find a relationship with God.
Absolutely.
And then an extension of that, right? You could say a safe byproduct of them having a relationship with God is finding success in life with their peers.
Yes.
Just to be, not just productive members of society, but just, God honoring people.
Well, I guess right now is probably a good time to explain what we're doing in our youth group.
Yeah.
It's sort of new. So when we first got to Alamo Heights, we try to fit praise and worship in, and we try to work a structure that seemed like God said, no, I want you to go a different direction. Mm-hmm. And I'm hard-headed. I'm like, no, God, I want to do this, but it just wasn't coming together like I wanted it to,
Yeah.
And so we revamped this past November, and a good friend of mine. His name is Paul Beard. Paul Beard is awesome. He's a pastor at First United Methodist Church in Ganado, and he has a ministry called Lighthouse 2911. Okay, and he put together the PALS program, and PALS stands for Positive Attitude and Life Skills, and so what we want to do is we want to help kids get through life, cope with, help them with some of their coping skills, anger management. We want to help them with, forgiveness, how to deal with your past. And so Paul Beard put PALS together, and Paul and I worked together in Cuero, I don't know, back in 2005, 2006, and at that time we were doing PALS through juvenile probation. And so, in other words, you had a juvenile probation officer sending kids to PALS, and so you had an authority figure. Well, that's not what I wanted in our youth group.
Sure.
And so we took the same principles. Okay. And I just want to say this is that everyone needs PALS. I mean, everyone needs, even adults. Mm-hmm. I don't care what type of home life you're in. I don't care, you may think you have the best home. Everyone needs PALS, positive attitude and life skills. And so, but what we decided to do was take it a step further and offer tutoring on Wednesdays.
Right. So that's a big part of what you do is can you give us a few more details on what those hours look like?
So at Travis, I pick up kids at Travis right after school. So around 4:00, I pick up kids. So any parent that wants more information about that, they can get with me. And so I picked them up in our church van from Travis, and we make a Sonic run because all the kids have.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so all the kids have Sonic apps, and it's funny because that big old white church van, it has rust all over it, but it still runs good. And it pulls up to Sonic every Wednesday about 4:10, 4:15 in the evening. And the kids order their drinks and whatever snacks they want from Sonic, and so we go back to the church and we set up. We have a math tutor, Miss Patty. She's a math teacher at Calhoun High School who has graciously said that, volunteered her time to tutor math. So we are basically attacking that is our math. The kids can come and work on anything, but we have a math tutor available.
Good.
A math teacher available to tutor. And so from 4:15 to 5:45, we're in tutoring. And so we want all the kids there to work on missing work, just to try and get some stuff done, and we want to be able to help them with this.
Right.
And then after that, we eat dinner around 6:00, and then we have PALS class. We have youth group PALS class from 6:30 to 7:30, and everything we do, we pour in, when we do PALS, and we talk about, like here recently, we went through a study on how to get over our past, how to forgive our past, how to forgive the people in our past, and going through that journey and what Jesus says about forgiveness. So anyway,
that's huge though. Seriously, genuine praise for me to you guys on that, because when I saw the first post on Facebook on what PALS is, and that you guys are going to be kicking that off, I was blown away. I said, man, this is a true ministry here and a great program for our students. I mean, it's very hands-on. There's no skirting by with just we just want to say that we're doing something for the students. It's very, like you said, you're physically showing up to the school, getting them in a van, taking them to church, providing tutoring for them. Like those are practical things. And then, like you said, even on the emotional side of bringing people who are at, point A to point B as far as, emotionally needing to heal or find restoration, find hope. I mean, forgiveness is huge, whether it's forgiveness among ourselves, with people.
Yes.
So, man, well done, man. That's exciting.
And I just, we have high school kids, of course, but most of the tutoring is with our middle school kids, from Travis. And so, like I said, as a church, we want to see our youth win. We want to provide more than just youth group time. We want to be able to be there, and we want to feed them. We want to be able to help them in their schoolwork.
Yeah.
And not only that, I reach out to the parents, and I want to thank the parents. First of all, I hope some of our parents watch this. I want to thank you for allowing your child to come to PALS, come to youth group at Alamo Heights, and because we care for your child. And so sincerely, I just want to say thank you for that, because they trust me with their kids from 4:00 till 7:30 in the evening.
Yeah.
And so, and we got some our kids are great. And just like, I love it. And what God is doing within our youth group and within our kids, I'm so thankful that I can do this.
Right. And looking at that and what you do, I know we're going to be circling back with just, some of the more ideas that are being not just presented, but executed as far as how we can reach our community. With this topic of community and with the recent events we've had this past week, because I'm going to go ahead and timestamp this episode by saying, Wintergeddon 2021. This is about the time that we're, recording towards the end of this experience this past week. And this past week has brought up quite a bit of just the ugly, some good, some beautiful things, and, just from among us as people in the community, and also just seeing people rise to the occasion from on the city side, from different churches, from individual people just wanting to meet needs. So it's no doubt an experience that each one of us may have a unique take on based on how your week went. Now, for you, just wanting to hear from yourself, here we are, a week removed from not knowing what this, like our week, right, from this Sunday to last Sunday, we didn't expect what it was that we got. Now that we're on the other side of it, after written all this craziness out, what was some of your experience this past week, and what did you see out of the community?
Yeah. Well, first of all, this time last week, I knew I probably wasn't going to go to, I also work at UPS in the mornings, and so I knew I wasn't going to go to work the next day. So I was like, all right, I get to have some time off, and probably go to work the next day. Never did I imagine that this many people would be without power and water this long.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even think about that. However, once power went out, I was up late. I believe it was Monday night. I can't remember if it was Sunday night or Monday night.
Right.
When it got real cold, like the coldest. And our power, I started hearing people about power going out.
Right.
And our power went out just for a little bit, and we were blessed at my house.
Yeah.
Our power didn't go out. I had power all but, 1 hour. This whole
that's
time.
amazing.
I didn't. Yeah. We never were without, and we so we were blessed. But I told my wife, I said, we have power and we have this available to us. We need to use it.
Yeah.
What can we do? And so y'all guys, when I say y'all, at Parkway, Parkway stepped up, the power never went out there. God opened those doors and allowed y'all to host, bring people in to keep warm. And then what I'm hearing is when I saw that you were bringing them in, I'm thinking, okay, my church at Alamo Heights, we're without power.
Yeah.
So how can we help you feed these people, and so the awesome folks there at Parkway, had food taken care of already, but, I know some other people were helping out. It wasn't just Parkway. It was a group of people bringing food in. And what I saw, I'm going to just say, the ugly side of it is not knowing.
Yeah.
This, in my opinion, was a little bit worse than Harvey. Now, there wasn't any damage.
Right.
But, man, the amount of people I saw in their homes, really cold. And it just broke my heart. So one morning, I woke up and I told my wife, I said, hey, we need to cook as much food as we can, and let's go serve it. And that's what we did. We went out and we were serving hot soup to as many people as we could out in the community. And that's where you started seeing people. You're in their neighborhood. Right. You're seeing where they're at. They're staying home. They don't want to leave. And you're meeting them meeting their needs, meeting them right there in their neighborhood. Right. And man, that was so awesome.
The student van that you said you picked up them from Travis, it was that the same van you guys were delivering food out of?
No. We were so in a hurry. I wanted to do that.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't about Alamo Heights being out there. Okay. It was more convenient, to be honest with you. It was a huge pot of soup.
Yeah.
And it would have been hard to serve it out of the church van.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we put it in the back of our red van, and we were just like, all right, we're going to go out. To be honest with you, I watched this video here recently, and this guy said, I don't know what we're doing, but we're here.
Yeah.
That's exactly, and when God says go,
yeah,
you don't ask questions. Mm-hmm. Because what seems logical to me, what God tells us sometimes doesn't seem logical.
Yeah.
But God's thinking is far beyond my comprehension.
Yeah.
And when God says go, we need to learn to quit sitting around and asking questions on what if God, what if this, what if that. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to go, and then God's going to answer you later. And that's what happened to me.
Yeah. I understand the angst that must have been present, because for me, being on the side of the fence where we had power and we're able to be in a position to utilize, said location or building or, whatever our resources were, I knew for a fact there was all these other members in our community that if they had the same situation where they were to be found with power, they would have done the same thing and more.
That's right. I saw First Baptist Church here in Cuero say the same thing. They're without power, and they said, once it comes on, we're going to provide a warm place.
Right.
And we knew Bayside and Pastor Ruben Castillo over there, they're set up, I think they're Red Cross certified, and,
I'm so proud because they set the standard there as far as what prep looks like.
Yeah.
But what's so funny too is, my conversation with many people they would consider themselves preppers.
Yeah.
And they would consider themselves, very just in the know, still felt like they could have been more prepared, because I'd seen in an article that I'm gonna refer to later by Tanya French. But the idea there is that we can prep, but we're so wired and geared towards hurricane preparation.
Yes.
That there's just some things that even with, much preparation comes this unfortunate, lack of awareness of the things we don't know. We don't know the things we don't know, and we don't live in the north where some of the more, prep that's more geared towards snow and cold, below freezing temps for multiple days. There's some things that go, and I'm not saying that some people didn't do a good job preparing for that here. Like I said, Pastor Ruben, hey, big shout out to you and Bayside Community Church, because, having auxiliary power, having COTS, having Red Cross, a partnership there, that was amazing to see. And so I guess I say all this just to say that it was great to see what some preparedness can do.
Yes.
Because it was a lot of peace of mind for folks like myself, so here's a funny little story, a little quick segue here. Is that Monday night I invited I'm trying to think, Sunday night or Monday night. Tuesday. Yeah, it was Monday night going into Tuesday morning. I invited my parents and I invited my brother. So it was like my parents, my brother, and a coworker that I had from Formosa. I said, hey guys, I know you guys are without power. Just come over to our house. Somehow we still have power. And, so you can sleep in a warm place. And they all came over. It was about 9:00. And we're all about to go to bed, and then power went out. And I felt so bad because I basically invited them to come somewhere to freeze elsewhere than their own home.
Yeah.
And my parents were actually in a worse situation because they at least had the gas stove. And so in the back of my mind, I'm not trying to act like there was zero faith here, but in the back of my mind, as we had opened up Parkway, there was that sense that we're all electricity. There's no auxiliary power. There's no propane. Like, there's no part B. It's just, if the power goes out, the power goes out. And I was like, I would hate for this to be a repeat of Monday night whenever it's like, hey, come over here. And then it all just goes away. And so there's so much merit in preparedness. But then I circle it back with you guys too, because the response from people like yourself and your role with Alamo Heights, when you know, it was kind of like, okay, so we don't have A, but what can we do with, you know, with what we can,
That's right.
make
And
good on?
So what happened, you know, this past week was I sent out a mass text message to my church. Now, cell phone service was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I could not, and so that's another thing, was that, you know, we could not communicate with our people. And in order to check on someone, you had to get in your car and drive to go check up on them. And so I found myself going to my pastor's house and going to another deacon's house. And I mean, people are learning how to call over Messenger because they have Wi-Fi, but no cell phone service. Right. You know, and it's funny how you learn things, how to communicate. But I sent a message out to our church, and I just prayed to God, I don't know if they're going to get it, but I just want to let them know some needs, you know, and whoever can step up. And I know that not everyone in our church or in their other churches, maybe they were caught, you know, maybe, you know, their homes, or, you know, not every church is able to, not every person in church is able to, you know, but I just text out, I said, if you're able to, you know, if you're able to, and if not, and I just ran with it. And so, you know, I called another deacon. I mean, they're right there in our neighborhood. I went by their house and I said, hey, Parkway, they got people going over there. We can't open our church for people to warm up. But let's get some food together and take over there. You know, you know, and that's Henry Blackaby. I mean, if you've ever gone through Experiencing God, you know, Henry Blackaby says, you know, look at where Jesus is at, look at where he's working, and go join in. You know, don't sit back and do nothing. Go join. And so, and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to happen. You know, and you know, when God says it's time to go, go do it. And so, and then we were just, you're finding needs here and there. Now, I'm going to say this.
Okay.
This is not bragging.
Yeah. No.
You know, when you're watching this, and you know, a lot of people like, man, they're just bragging on what this is not, you know what this is what God is doing. And God used the church, the local churches in Port Lavaca, to bless this community. And there's nothing else set up to help each other out except for our local churches. And I'm so thankful, you know, and that God allows me to be in a ministry at Alamo Heights Baptist Church, allows you to be at Parkway, Reuben at Bayside, you know, the leaders at First Baptist Church, and I can go on and on and on.
Oh yeah. And it's a beautiful thing to go in a town our size, to be able to have the list as long as it is, because it's not from, you know, strategically trying to omit different people that serve different roles. I'm going to actually try to do my best to go through a list that was recently publicized by one of our writers at the Wave. But, you know, the idea here is that people were willing and did everything they could with what they could have to bring to the table. And that was something that was beautiful to see, because hey, it was a week where people panicked. You know, we know what it's like to see food fly off the shelves and gas, you know, on a routinely basis get, I kid you not, there was, we were looking across the street, right, to Buc-ee's, and as the tanker's there putting gas in, it was already getting put out.
Well, it was like that. I'm going to tell you, and it was like that in the grocery stores, and it still is. Right. As milk arrives, it's flying off the shelf.
Flying off.
And, you know, I had a mom, and the cool thing is people coordinated. I mean, like, people will call, say, hey, do you know where you can find some milk? Yeah, I can find some milk. Let me go, you know, get it. And by the way, our food pantry here in town, you know, Amy, who runs the food pantry over there, and she has some awesome volunteers there, they stepped up also.
Yeah, they did.
And the Golden Crescent Food Bank there in Victoria dropped off, I think it was on Tuesday, where they dropped off pallets of food.
Or I think going into that Wednesday, they had it was an 11 a.m. Well, it was a scheduled 11 a.m. noon at the fairgrounds.
Yes.
They were going to have like a drive-by where they hand off boxes of food, perishables, and mixed alike, and just giving it to people, it to the people of
whoever
Calhoun.
showed up. And then that's when, Amy got a hold of you. We're going to have extra, and that's where that's how we got those pallets out at your church.
They flew by. So, just to be clear, for those that may have, seen, the post that we threw out there as far as food boxes goes, that's Amy Jordan's, that's all of her strategic planning because, so that's the cool thing, right? In this situation, it was thankfully us with power where, we're grateful to have power, but, next time we can be in the situation where if we don't have auxiliary power, we can be completely dark, but it's all a matter of just, with who's able to say yes and who's able to just kind of put themselves out there. What ended up happening was the word got around that we're open. And then so somehow that became, that kind of got put on the desk there. And Amy was like, hey, just want to say, would you guys mind if we dropped off some pallets of boxes that can be distributed from your location? And so thankfully she was on it. Thankfully she was looking for a plan, and that's how it happened. And then those boxes, they just flew off. And I felt bad because, I say I felt bad, but even to the next day, we're still getting calls hoping that that they were still available or milk was available because those milks flew.
Well, in another story that I heard, it was a call to me. I don't know where I was at. I think we were serving soup. And I got a text message saying, hey, I have a mom who needs some milk.
Right.
She has a baby and needs milk, can't find milk anywhere. And, it was just it felt so good to know that I can direct her someplace or that there was a place like the food bank.
Yep.
I may not have had it myself to give it to her. And so, listen, that is Port Lavaca come together.
Yeah.
It's not about Alamo Heights. It's not about Parkway. It's not about any church. It's not about any one person.
Right.
It's about the body of believers. It's about a town who comes together to help each other out. At the end of the day, and I'm not going to discuss, the negative stuff that was on Facebook and people were hounded on. But you know what? You throw the political stuff out the window.
Right.
We in Port Lavaca, we take care of each other. At the end of the day, through this, we took care of each other, and we still are. There's lots of needs still out there. And during Harvey and in those natural disasters, we have each other's back. And so we learn through these things. I guarantee you, one of the things I was telling my pastor, we're going to have some type of, we need to make sure we can connect with each other next time this happens.
Right.
Somehow, some way, when a natural disaster happens, hurricane, I don't know if it's going to freeze like it did in my lifetime down here, but you never know.
Hopefully it's 100 years from now.
Hopefully.
Not that I'm trying to curse my, grandchildren or anything, but or great grandchildren.
But man, that's Port Lavaca.
It's awesome.
And I want to say, man, thank God for you, out there. I hope you're watching. I'm seeing people that were cooking food and they would say, hey, who wants some extra food?
Yeah.
Extra bowls of soup. And and it's just so awesome to see our town come together, whether you know how many water breaks we've had, water lines break and neighbors helping out neighbors.
Yep.
It's going on in my neighborhood, know? And so anyway,
because that's what's contagious too, because I think people appreciate the effort. That's genuine, it's like, hey, this is just what we do around here, and there's lots of people with skills and resources I don't have that thankfully, because they make it available, there's this mutual strength and benefit from in our numbers. There's a reason why people say strength in numbers.
Yeah.
And you can be a town our size and find a lot of strength and resiliency. So funny, another quirky story here. Someone found out my wife made a comment about needing gas.
Yeah.
Right. Cause she was riding off like a quarter tank for the duration of this week. Just didn't have time to go get in line and get gas.
Hey, I was the same way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I get a call, and someone calls me, and they're just like, "Hey, you're about to get a text," and basically they overheard that your wife needed gas. So go read the text, or or no, it wasn't even that. I think it was, "Hey, I got this message from someone that's looking out for your wife," and it was as detailed as this. And I kid you not, it was like, "All right, tell your wife to go to lane 10 at Buc-ee's behind a GMC Arcadia and pump 10, get in line. And then after them that she can go fill up her gas tank or whatever." And I was like, okay, the Black Ops level of networking around here, just to look out for something they overheard. They didn't need to, they didn't need to even say, "Oh, I remember that conversation. Try to get in touch with Sam, tell his wife to go do this." And of course she jumped on that because she was like, "Oh my gosh, like, okay, I guess I'll get gas after all." But, that's just one example. And then, of course, like you said, people fixing pipelines, people fixing the brakes. I mean, man, the 6 Mile Fire Department saying, "Hey, meet us at the Bower at 10, get yourself some water. You're going to have to boil it, but just bring whatever containers you have. We'll just fill her on up, and then you just go about your business." Like, dude, that's what's up.
I mean, and that's what it takes, and that's what the body of Christ, that's what Jesus Christ always went far and beyond to reach the person, that's hurts the most, who are without, and I want to tell you, Port Lavaca, I wish I could literally put my arms around every person that's hurting right now. I mean, there were people that are going to lose a week worth of wages.
Yeah.
This week, so there are people that are going to be losing wages. And on top of that, their energy bills are going to be double, if not more than that. And on top of that, they lost work. Yeah. And so those are things that, I'm just, but you know what? Here's what happened. God is in control, and he cares for you. He knows right where you're at. He knows what's going on with you, and he cares. And the beauty of this is, I loved what someone shared the article that the Wave did about your church. And I don't know where I saw it, but I read one of the comments, and there was a guy that said, "Hey, I'm out of town right now, but when I get back in, I'm going to that church." And what happens is, you're right, it becomes it's contagious. You know what, guys? There's no reason to sit at home. There's no reason to sit at home on Sundays, especially those that are feel alone, because Port Lavaca, you're not, and you're looking at two guys right here that care for the community, and there's a lot of other people.
Yeah,
a lot of other people that care and love the community. So
it's neat that we value these things, and I hope that's what, like you said, we want that to be contagious. People valuing each other, and that was another thing that maybe this is a good time to now just kind of look into the article that was written by Tanya French, because I'm gonna just read it word by word, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Because I feel like if I try to sum it up, I'm gonna miss some folks.
Gotcha.
But basically, Tanya French with the Wave, she wrote an article of the things that she had seen with her own eyes this past week, especially someone who's very much in the public eye. I know she was extremely busy, and she had things that she had to stay on top of in the midst of just putting things on, black and white paper. But, she shared that among the ugly, she saw some good things. And so I'm just going to reference the second half of the article she wrote, but it says, "Among the many awful things we witnessed last week, I was also blessed to witness so many hardworking and giving individuals. There were many more that I didn't see, people that will never be recognized for putting aside their own hardships to take care of others. These people won't make the news, and they may never hear a simple thank you. And I want to say thank you." She continues on, "Thank you to the city manager who spent days and nights at the city hall fielding emails, texts, and calls while she begged and pleaded and pulled out all the stops to get power back to her freezing community. Thank you to every single member of our public works department as they worked in extreme conditions, basically trying to fill a bucket with holes to get water back in Port Lavaca. I guarantee you this thankless job and many more have no idea what these people went through to get this done. Thank you to Texas AgriLife personnel and Port Lavaca Fire Department volunteers for spending 2 days in a cold, windy parking lot filling up containers so people could flush their toilets. Thank you to the City of Point Comfort providing that water. Thank you to all the first responders everywhere that left their homes and their families to take care of others across the state. And thank you to the local YMCA director and staff, realizing that they were one of the few places in town with electricity, immediately opened the doors to the community for a place to warm up and take a hot shower. See, and it continues on. It's like, it's quite the list for a small town. It says, thank you to the many HEB team members that worked to keep their store open so others could have the basic necessities. If you aren't in Texas, you don't know how this Texas-based grocery store chain steps up to take care of the communities it serves. We often joke that others have Red Cross. We have HEB.
Amen.
Thank you to the church members of Parkway Port Lavaca and Bayside Church in Olivia for opening their doors as a warming shelter in the restaurants and individuals that brought food to these locations. And so that's where I was, sure, with communicating Alamo Heights with some people.
Yeah.
And I think it got referenced in another article that was written.
I think so. I mean,
yeah.
And we were planning on opening.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what, when we finally got electricity, I even posted out, hey, we're going to be opening for anyone who needs it. But the good news is electricity got turned on and there were less people who needed a shelter.
Exactly.
And so when no one came, no one showed up, that was a good thing.
Right.
But at least
that meant they're back home.
That means they're back home. And that's why I communicated with you. I said, how's your, how's it going there? So, but man.
So, and again, just one last anecdote there is that I think it showed a lot of y'all's character and being willing to provide, for other locations too, because it was like, all right, if we can keep you guys serving food another day, then we want to be a part of that so there's more food for another day. And that's what y'all did. So it said, thank you to Inn at Clark's for providing warm beds and shelters to those in need. Thank you to the convenience store owner that met people at his store and allowed them to later send a list of what they picked up on an IOU system. Wow, it's interesting.
Wow.
Thank you to the restaurant and bakery owners that gave their goods to the community. And thank you to the individuals that cooked for others, opened their doors for others, and gave of their extra water and gas and propane to others. And thank you to the local newspaper staff, though they didn't have power or water themselves at home or the office, gathered at a staff member's home to do their absolute best in the community informed. And so it says also, thank you to the area hardware store, countless people who stepped up in the community. And you see, it's these people that make or break a community. Those that give on their best days, those that give their best days when they feel they have nothing left to give are the true heart of the community. And we are a community of heart. So that I think is awesome, just to see the sentiment there of being a community of heart. And so it's good to be a part of a Calhoun community and just our surrounding areas that really embody that.
I want to thank her for writing that article, because there's a lot that I didn't know about, and there's a lot that, that's going out in the wave, or it already has.
So I seen it circulating Facebook just recently, like a few hours ago. It just so happened to catch it before we got on. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be really cool to reference. Probably be on the paper. Yeah,
I'm sure. But you see, that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we look after, at the end of the day, you do your best to look after your neighbor, to look after your brother. And when God's people show up, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm thankful for that. Now, not everybody's receptive of, handouts. Not everybody's receptive, because I've knocked on doors and asked them if they wanted a bowl of soup that my wife made. And they were like, oh, no, thank you. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I know it's cold, and this was hot. I mean, it was burning my hand while I'm holding it. And
you're like, please, it's burning my hand.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's okay, because I could be like that sometimes. I could be like, no, I got it. I don't need help.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but still, we go and we push, and and I think that what we saw here was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah, we're without electricity. Yeah, we're without water. I think we're still under a boiling water notice.
Yeah,
You know,
thankfully, recently Victoria rescinded theirs. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we're next in line. That'd be great.
Maybe so. I mean, I don't know. I brush my teeth with it. It ain't. I'm still living, so I mean, I forget about it. But hey, listen, you know, at the end of the day, again, what a great week. And it's like I told my church this morning. I saw God this week, you know, and it's amazing. And it takes, sometimes it takes a week like this.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a week like this for us to stop and notice what God is doing, because God will show up at those deepest, darkest moments of your life. God's going to show up.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful. And he uses people, you know, and I'm blessed by seeing others step up. And so, anyway.
Yeah. And here's where, you know, I just want to brag about you for a little bit. You know, Haynes recently had given me a call, you know, after the end of this kind of wild week. And to me, that just shows his heart, because, you know, he knew it was a busy week for all of us. And even while he was on fumes too, you know, I remember personally getting a call from Haynes, and it was just him checking in. He just wanted to ask, "Hey, Sam, how are you doing? How are you holding up, buddy?" And to me, I personally just was blessed by that, because it is awesome when you got people, when they have that time or they make that time, you know, to just check in and, you know, just care for your well-being. And it was a blessing to work together with Haynes this past week and the people from his church. And, you know, I think, again, it just shows it's the real deal. It's a very authentic heart that, you know, I believe we do share here, and others do too. And so, you know, I think, you know, even as Tanya said, you know, there's just some people, we may not hear their names, but they exist, and they're making the difference. Before going or you know putting this, you know, or landing the plane, as they say, I still want to give an opportunity to kind of hear what are some other things that are going on in your world that you want to just have us in the know on.
Well, listen, you know, I spoke a little bit about, you know, my passion for men's ministry. And first of all, I want to say that started from being at Sportsman's Church in Victoria. You know, that's the pastor there's Glenn Dry, and watching what's happened there at Sportsman's Church, and the passion he has and what those men have done. You know, you talk about Reuben, you know, laying the groundwork and you know, of being a Red Cross shelter, you know.
Right.
I also learned a lot from Glenn Dry. He at Sportsman's Church, he's at Sun Valley Ranch, and he has he was giving away water also. And he was out there, you know, 3-4 days, and he just said, "Hey, bring your buckets, bring whatever you have, empty out the pool." You know.
Right.
And I mean, it's just crazy. But anyway, and so on March 25th, we're having an event here in Port Lavaca. I don't know really the title of it other than 300 men. It comes from the Bible,
passage from Gideon.
The passage from Gideon,
yeah,
and 300 praying men, and so Glenn hosted this event at Sun Valley Ranch last year sometime, and awesome event. No preaching, had a little music, had some barbecue. You could sponsor a table for $100, and it seats 6 men. And so, you know, I bought a table, invited some of my men from the church, and ate lots of barbecue. So you get your money's worth of the barbecue, and and then listened to some music, and then we prayed. Right. And I've never been a part of a prayer event like that. There were preachers, there were business owners up there leading prayers. There were 6-7 men maybe. And they just prayed.
Right.
And after each prayer, we were able to pray at our table as men. And we all prayed, you know, individually. And I thank God for that. For me to pray with men at our church, and I'm going to just say, you know, men, we're stubborn. But you know what? We battle, you know, us guys, we battle some of the same things.
Yeah.
And we need each other. You know, we need each other. And so for him to provide that night, and so I called Glenn back and I said, "Hey, man, the guys at our church really love this." And he said, "Well, why don't we do it in the spring at Calhoun? in Calhoun County. And I'm like, yeah, okay, okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, then he texted me about 3 weeks ago, said, hey, how about our men's prayer event in Calhoun County? And I'm like, okay, maybe,
Right.
And then it got real a week later. I finally called him back, and I was trying to get him to, push it back. And he goes, no, Haynes, we need to do this.
Right.
And again, like I said, green light, go. If God tells you to do it, go do it. Quit trying to work this out. So I guess what I'm saying is Calhoun County men, okay? I am asking for our men, and now we're still looking for a venue to host this. Now, when we say 300 men, it doesn't have to, 300 men may not be there,
right?
But we're going to sell tables of 6 for $100. Businesses, it's a great event for business owners, churches to buy tables for their men.
Right.
Invite a friend to eat some awesome barbecue. All right.
Oh, yeah. I know it'll be good.
And then it's just a time of prayer. I talked to Pastor Ruben out there at Bayside. We're going to get word out to the Minister Alliance, and then also, but we're praying for a venue. That's what we're doing. And we're praying for a place to host this. And I mean, free's always good. If someone would like to, to offer their venue for that one night, because this is going to be good for our community.
Good to have strong men.
Yes, to encourage our men to step up. And sometimes I know I need it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see. I know I need brothers in my corner, to help me pray for my family, help me fight against sin in my life, and help me fight for my family. And so to have men in my corner like that, that's good. So that's coming up. And then our church, 2 days later, Alamo Heights is hosting something called Praise in the Park.
Praise in the Park.
March 27th, and that's at George Adams Park, and that's over there by, like, going to Sea Greens in that neighborhood. They're out over there by the cemetery. And we are we got permission by the city. They're going to allow us to do this, and we're going to have praise and worship out there. So it's going to be from 4 to 7. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to have some free hot dogs, free drinks, free food, arts and crafts for the kids. We're going to have just different stuff out there for everyone, and then so that's going to last between 4 to 5:30, and from 5:30 to 7, we're going to have praise and worship. We have a team that's coming out, and they're going to come out and lead worship for us. That group is called Searchlight Ministries.
Okay.
And Searchlight, look them up. They're on Facebook. But Searchlight Ministries, this praise and worship team, they're out of Victoria, and they've been wanting to get together to go to different communities to lead worship free,
Right.
And I'm going to, we need it.
Yeah.
If there's ever a time right now, this past year has been rough.
Right.
And this is a time for families to come out and have worship. And it's going to be at the park. We get the social distance. So sit with your family groups, bring your lawn chair, or bring a blanket, sit on the ground, whatever you want to do. So anyway, that's going to be from 4 to 7.
Awesome.
Yep.
Hey, it sounds exciting. It's good to know that we have some things to look forward to that are around the corner. And again, Haynes, so grateful for your time. You've absolutely crushed it. I appreciate your insight and what you're doing for the community. And really, I mean, I think, it's also very great to just be a little bit more in the loop with, just the heart behind our community. And you're a big piece of that heart, man, since I've met you, since I've seen what you've done with people.
Well, God is good. And what happens is we've worked together, through, the See at the Pole events, same thing with First Baptist Church, and Cody Kirk is the youth pastor over there.
It's another guy I look forward to.
Yes.
He said he's interested, and so putting him on the spot right now, like throwing it out there. But another great voice in the community. Cody's
a character, and then Roy, a man of few words,
Right.
So Roy is a youth pastor at Parkway, and so we made a commitment. It was us three sitting around a table. I'm like, hey, we got to get together more often. And you know what? We haven't done that. Life gets in the way, but man, I guess what I'm trying to say is this right here doesn't happen. What happened this week doesn't happen without the body of Christ.
Right.
And I'm so thankful for my church. I'm so thankful for Parkway and all the other churches. But most of all, I mean, without God and His grace, man, I wouldn't be sitting here. And I mean, I know you would say the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% on the same. We're aligned there in our perspective about His grace giving us the opportunity to see a new day.
Yes,
to know Him personally, and then also, I mean, again, the reason why we love the people in our lives is an extension of that, and I'm grateful to just be a part of it.
Amen. Yeah. So, but as we keep trucking along, man, I just want to. As we keep trucking along and following God's will, my prayer, this is my ultimate prayer, and I'll just stop talking. I get excited. I mean,
I know.
But I want to say this. My prayer is for revival in Port Lavaca. Yeah. My prayer is for revival in the hearts of our men and our families, and whatever God wants us to do, when He says go, let's go. But my prayer is for revival in Port Lavaca, and that starts within me. That starts within you and our churches, and then let God deal with it from there. Yeah, And so anyway,
it's always good to allow Him to work.
Man, I tell you, and I'm just so grateful to be able to sit here, because without God, I would be someplace else. You know, so God is good.
Well, I think that's a beautiful highlight, just to cap this off, just with, us being able to kind of, reflect on that truth. And again, I'm, for me, it's a charge, man. It really is. It's a charge. It has me looking forward to with great expectation with the things to come. And, for us here, whether you're listening or watching, I think we're all in agreement here. We want all to work together, and we want you to be a part of that as a listener, but also someone that feels like they have a community that they can engage in, and that's what it's
and God's not done, man. God's not done.
Yeah,
I mean, what we saw this week, just tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
I don't want to see any icebergs, but
we'll see if we can beat Him to the punch as far as. What we can do in faithfulness without there being a major event.
Yes.
We'll flesh some of those things out, out of good faith, Lord, we'll try to get on the boat, I mean, I think we're all, wanting to be a part of that without it being based off the response to a catastrophe or something. But we can get there, man. But hey, again, Haynes, thank you so much. And for those who are listening, we'll be back next week. You can join us on a new episode of Local Rapport on Mondays, released once a week Mondays, and I look forward to catching you then. Take care, guys.
Awesome.